On today's edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast, we have a discussion with the candidates for president-elect for the Eastern Division of NAfME. Hello, and welcome to PMEA's Take Note podcast. I'm Scott Cullen, and I'm the immediate past president of PMEA, and today's guest host for our Q&A with both of the candidates for president-elect of the Eastern Division of the National Association for Music Education. The goal of this episode is to help inform the members of the Eastern Division about our candidates, and to do that, we'll kick things off with Edward Doyle. Welcome, Ed.
Hi, Scott. It's great to be here.
Wonderful.
I heard just had to say, I heard the theme music, and I was a little surprised in Pennsylvania that if you're going to use a news open, you weren't using the Action News 6, Move Closer to Your World, because that is legendary.
It is the classic of classics. Yeah. I've heard it a lot growing up.
Well, it's a great chart, especially you as a trombone player and me as a trombone player. I think you would appreciate that. So. But yes, thanks for having me on, Scott. And I love Pennsylvania. I've been to Pennsylvania many times. In fact, I just spent the holiday season out in Allegheny County, and where my in-laws live. My husband grew up in Berks County in the eastern part of the state. So yeah, I drove all the way through Pennsylvania, past State College and through Altoona and all that, and a long drive out there from New Hampshire. So it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're so delighted to have you. So how about I got a few questions for you today. The first one is going to be, and you started a little bit of this, tell us about yourself and what is your brief bio?
So yes, I have been involved in NAfME for a while now, and that's where I got to meet you, Scott, because most recently I served as president of the New Hampshire Music Educators Association. I live in Manchester, New Hampshire, and that is the largest school district in the state. That's also where I work. I am the director of fine arts after having taught high school band in the school district in Manchester. So born in New Hampshire, I went to college at the University of Massachusetts, where I earned a Bachelor of Music and Music Ed degree, graduated from there in 2002. Along the way, after I started teaching, I was involved in the summer master's program at the University of Michigan. So I earned a master's degree there. As you could tell, I'm a trombone player, but my degrees have all been in music ed, and been involved as a band teacher at the different levels, taught elementary band, middle school band, high school band, and now I'm in my first year as the director of fine arts in the, like I said, largest school district in the state of New Hampshire, Manchester.
Thank you so much. So, for our next question, why are you running for Eastern Division President-elect, and what interests you about this role?
So, I think many people that know me would describe me as being very passionate about music ed. I believe very strongly in the transformative power of music education. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in countless students, as I know many other teachers have as well. Being a president of a state MEA, such as New Hampshire, there are a lot of opportunities in the Eastern Division to represent states of many diverse qualities, whether it be small states like New Hampshire or Vermont, or the larger states like Pennsylvania and New York. There's just a lot of diversity in the Eastern Division. Working in Manchester, it's a pretty urban school district, largest school district in the state. 50% or more of our students are on the free and reduced lunch program. Over 70 languages spoken in our schools. So I'm interested in the position because I think I offer a perspective of hopefully a perspective of the many different experiences that will happen in this vast Eastern Division. So this role is an opportunity to really drive meaningful change. When you are the president of Eastern Division, not only do you get to help out with what's going on in different states and visit their meetings and conferences, but you represent the Eastern Division on the board of NAfME, the National Association. So I would like to bring that sense of perspective into the national board as well. As a state leader, I've led initiatives to expand access and diversify programming for the state of New Hampshire. And I think that because we know that music is more than just a subject, music really is a lifeline to so many of our students. I want to advocate for that in the Eastern Division, different MEAs, and of course in the NAfME National Board as well.
Thank you so much. Now, you may have hinted on some of these in your previous answer, but my next question is, what would be some of your priorities as division president?
Priorities?
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly we're seeing a big change in our students' lives. I mean, we used to say COVID was one of the big reasons for change, but that's almost old news in the lives of our students that we see. I really believe in advocacy and advocating for equitable access to all of our students. I believe in a student-centered approach, and that's what I've tried to do in all my works and all my different career paths, is to really champion students and champion the programs that celebrate the diverse students. I think that sometimes we prioritize, whether it be in music ed education or in teacher training, we prioritize the programs and experiences that don't always represent the demographics of the nation as a whole, and in that case, that don't represent the Eastern Division as a whole. I think that along those lines, we're going to be more practical about it. We're at kind of a real crossroads here with what we would have called our traditional ensembles: band, chorus, orchestra, jazz, the big four. But we're looking into what we'll now call non-traditional, but soon may call traditional ensembles, such as modern band and the non-Western music groups. So all of it comes down to prioritizing the student experience, because as we know, there are some challenges that we face in the music ed profession, not the least of which is, like all professions in music education, or all subject matters for that matter, we face a shortage of teachers. We face a critical need. And what do we do to address that? So I think that one of the ways to do that is to really look at teacher recruitment and look at inspiring our young people into this profession. It's a great profession. I believe in the power. I'm not going to say it's the easiest profession. I'm not going to say that every day has been easy. I think we all struggle with that sometimes. So having that sense of purpose, knowing that we are dedicated to a common cause, and that you can really do some just marvelous things in the lives of your community and the lives of your students. If we can promote that and have that guide everything that we do, that's the overarching vision that can lead to specifics that can help us and help the young people that are the future of our profession. I want the students to know that this is a worthwhile profession.
Thank you again. And I have one more question for you today, Ed. In a division made up of 13 different MEAs, how would you go about acknowledging the differences that we have in this diverse division while reinforcing what we all have in common?
So part of it, as I alluded to earlier, Scott, would be celebrating the diversity of the different MEAs. Okay, so recognize that each state association has unique challenges, resources, and cultural contexts. Okay, so along those lines, I would create platforms to highlight the contributions and achievements of individual MEAs at division events, such as, of course, our Eastern Division Conference, and that can foster the pride and recognition. Like I said, the shared goals and that shared mission: student-centered, high-quality music education across the board. And if we can emphasize those shared values and do that through advocacy and professional development and student success, that will transcend our state boundaries and transcend the national board as well. I want to facilitate meaningful collaboration. I want all of us to organize together, and if we have to form task forces to deal with the shared concerns such as, equitable access, DEIJ initiatives, funding inequities, curriculum development, I would want to facilitate those collaborations. I think I have a good collaborative spirit. I think I am a good communicator. I think, like I said, I have a good perspective of what goes on in many, many different aspects of the music education profession. I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm a listener. And I think that what we can do together is much more, is what we can do together is stronger than what we can do by our own. I really believe that we are stronger together. So I acknowledge and respect the autonomy of individual MEAs, can support them in their efforts to provide resources, guidance, and advocacy. But like I said, the shared vision is really what's important here, and consistently remind our members of the power of unity and the power of the transformative power of this profession. So that's what I really, really believe in.
So Ed, I've reached the end of my questions. 30 seconds. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to share as we wrap things up?
Well, thanks so much, Scott, for having me on. My emphasis points really that I want to close out is showing that we can emphasize unity through diversity in the different state divisions. I'm a big believer in advocacy for all students. I'll prioritize equity-focused advocacy to ensure that all teachers in every corner of our division, regardless of resources, regardless of demographics, have access to the support and opportunities they need to thrive. That's what I believe in. I want to celebrate the successes of the profession, of the different state MEAs, and showcase, as I've said, the transformative power of music education. So thanks so much for having me on today.
Ed Doyle, thank you so much. Before we meet our second candidate, I wanted to let everyone know that both candidates did receive these questions in advance of recording these interviews. And now I would like to continue our Meet the Candidates episode with Wayne Mallette. Welcome, Wayne.
Hi, thank you so much, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we really appreciate you being here. And I'll tell you what, for our first question, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What's your brief bio?
Sure thing. So born and raised in New Jersey, in a suburb right outside New Brunswick area, Piscataway, New Jersey. I really got my start doing music and everything just really within music because I followed in my brother's footsteps. He played viola and in third grade, and then they came time to pick an instrument. I said, I'll start with viola myself. So I started doing that, but I always had a love of music, and I started playing piano, and I always sang in choir, especially in my church choir. And so it just really stuck with me. So really just fell in love with music that way. And I just decided to keep going with it. I met all my great friends. I would say all my great friends were in some way in the music program throughout high school. And so then along that journey, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. But my freshman year, I decided, my freshman year in high school in orchestra, I said, I want to be a music teacher. And but I wanted to be a vocal music teacher because I loved choir music. There was something so powerful about that. But my orchestral experience really just gave me such a love of conducting and music in that way. So did that. So then went to Rutgers University and then continued to fall in love with teaching, really just at a deeper way. So I taught in Summit High School and in Summit, New Jersey for 14 years, which was the best job I ever had. High school choir, musical theater, music theory. I loved AP music theory. And then went on from there, just kept on teaching and falling in love with it. But eventually I got involved with doing more administrative work and things like that. That's how I went into administration. But it lined up well because I was getting more heavily involved in our State Music Educators Association. And through that, I just found so many even more great friends. And I found it was such a way to be involved and learn from master music teachers. And just learn the ropes of how to build a high-powered choir program, and even how to get more involved in the state all state procedures. So I actually joined the all state procedures committee before I became our Central Jersey president. And then I decided to run for our state president. And that's how I end up into being on our board right now, state president in the final year as past president of the state of New Jersey. And I've just been loving the experience of being involved in the Music Educators Association, and looking forward to finding more ways to be involved.
Thank you so much for that. So tell us, why are you running for Eastern Division President? What interests you about this role?
Absolutely. This role is a great opportunity for individuals to give back. As I mentioned, I've gained so much from being a part of the Music Educators Association in New Jersey, between just great professional development and meeting new people, not just from around the state, but just really from around the country, as we bring them to New Jersey for professional development. And so really with this role with Eastern Division President-elect, I want to continue to give back really on that larger scale. I've received a lot, and even just the knowledge of how to, as far as organizing conferences and being a part of that professional development planning, I really see it as a great way to continue to be highly involved in that. Another thing I really believe in is just the power that being in leadership can do, as far as being representation for other individuals wanting to get into leadership. I would love to help groom the future leaders of music education. And I believe in being in a position like this, allows me more access to individuals that are interested in being in leadership. I've met so many people through even going to the National Research Conference back in Georgia back in September. There were so many people I met there that, I was able to share my research with. And so when it came down to that, I was able to even help them. So I believe it's really important to always be giving back, and to, not just reaching forward, but finding those people that are coming behind you and helping them come along the way as well. So I believe this would be a great opportunity to give back in that sense, and truly just really be able to give much back to the profession that's given so much to me.
So tell us, what would your priorities be as division president?
Great. My first priority is, number one, just really listening and hearing where the needs are, because we're in such a shifting, changing culture that it's important for us to always be listening at one hand, but also be ready to act on the other hand. Some of my priorities is even making sure that our Eastern Division Conference is representative of the Eastern Division. The East Coast is one of the most diverse places really in the country. And there is so much diversity, whether it's racial diversity or gender diversity or economic diversity. And I feel that our conferences need to continue to represent that. One thing in New Jersey that was so important to me is that when we did our conferences, we couldn't just wait for people to apply to do sessions that needed to be represented, but we went out and we found individuals and told them to apply, even if they had never presented at a conference before. If they were doing something great, we wanted them to be highlighted on our conference. So one thing I really want to do is, with our Eastern Division Conference, is really find sessions that are representative of the East Coast. So whether it's those working in inner cities or working in the suburbs, even in rural places, I think it's important to have representation from all areas, because there is so much that we all can learn from each other. So I believe in creating that area of openness, but I also would love to do things as far as continue to create these different spaces where individuals can learn from each other. There's such a way that we can continue to grow and help foster, whether there's through unofficial happy hours during the conference, or even really focused ones that are focused on the diversity that we're seeing represented in our community. I think it's important for us to find these niches and find these ways to bring individuals together. I'm also looking forward to going to other state conferences and lending a hand as far as what is an area of expertise that you might want to hear from the national board. What is an area of expertise that you think that I could even learn from? So I think it's important to put myself in the position of the learner. And so those are the priorities about how do we make the conference a two-way street, a way that I can give, or even the Eastern Division Board can give, but also what can the states give back, and what can we learn on a larger level so we can continue to give it to others in the state. or into the other states.
Well, thank you for that. So, final question here, and you may have touched on some of this in your previous response, but in a division made up of 13 different MEAs,
Mhm.
how would you acknowledge any differences that may exist while still reinforcing those things that we have in common?
Absolutely, absolutely. So much like I was saying before, I think it's important in these large settings that we're in, whether it's our national conference or whether it's even through podcasts like this, finding ways to get the message out about what other states are doing. And so, whether it is through those other state conferences and encouraging other states to present there, or even to bring information even to like podcasts like this or to other publications that are happening out there, so that people can see the diversity of things that are happening in all the different states. I think those things are really important for people to see that, again, we have so many different, there's differences to highlight because we're stronger through our diversity, but also that common bond of music and music education. I believe so strongly in the power of music education to change lives. I've seen students' lives that have just been transformed through being in a music program. And it breaks my heart when I see programs struggling to stay afloat to provide those spaces. So when they need the support, they need podcasts like this so that they can look to see, oh, what other resources are out there, or even in the publications, like making sure that maybe somewhere Vermont is looking for something, and we can say, hey, you know what, look at what they're doing in Pennsylvania, and bridge that gap through there, whether it's through me as the conduit going to different conferences, but then setting those connections up. Those are the networks that I've been able to make, and those are the networks that I want to continue to foster, hopefully as the president-elect of the Eastern Division.
Well, thanks, Wayne. That's all of my questions for today. Just a final, maybe 30 seconds, final thoughts from you. If there's anything you'd like to share to kind of close things out, you're welcome to.
Wow. Well, number one, I definitely want to thank you, Scott, for this opportunity. I want to thank all the educators of the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association. To those I know through seeing you on the Eastern meetings, or even to those who I have not yet met, I'm hoping that I can be a way to a continual bridge to bridge the gaps that we may not even know exist, but just continue to bridge those gaps and bring about deeper connections. As I said, I believe so deeply in the power of music education. I've seen lives transformed through it. I've seen friendships forged through it. And it's important to make sure that we have those kind of spaces. So I'm looking for an opportunity to help be that advocate and to be that bridge on that Eastern Division level, to make sure that we can continue to be as vibrant and as strong in the Eastern Division, because we really are a great division. I think we're probably one of the strongest divisions in the country, although don't put that out there too much. But there's a reason why, and it's because we're diverse, but we love and respect each other. And I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to continue to be a part of that, to keep fostering the power of music education in the Eastern Division, but even nationwide, because we can do it if we really just put our minds to it.
Wayne Mallette, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Pleasure's mine.
And that wraps up our special episode to introduce you to the candidates for the president-elect of the Eastern Division of the National Association of Music Education. The election will run from January 14th through February 13th. Thank you to Ed Doyle and Wayne Mallette, and thank you to our sponsors, the Grove City College Department of Music and Zeswitz Music, for helping us with this episode today. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to vote, and please tune in to the next episode of PMEA's Take Note podcast.